time for a playoff sources say. I'm Juliette Littman.
I'm Chris Ryan.
There's a lot to talk about. I actually start that with every podcast I'm on.
No, that's not true.
That.
Oh, like every podcast that you're on? Because I feel like we've had some fallow periods on
I know.
Say.
It hasn't really been it wasn't a dramatic regular season, but it's definitely been a dramatic playoff.
Yeah, for sure. Very testy.
Yes.
I think we've definitely, after you hit game 2 or 3, everybody starts getting tired of seeing the same old people.
I'd like to start with someone who is surprisingly not very testy, and I find it weird.
Yeah.
And that's Mr. LeBron James.
It's not. What happened to Zero Dark 23?
Okay, so it's a tradition unlike any other. At the beginning of the play, and the first day that LeBron's team starts the playoffs, so not necessarily the first day of the playoffs, but his first day, he tweets Zero Dark 23 or Zero Dark 30 23 mode activated, and then he's done with social media until his season is over.
Yeah.
So he has been dark on social media.
He has an Instagram since the 15th, right?
Yes, and he hasn't tweeted either. But his last tweets were like political. They weren't even tied to the playoffs. I think he was saying like to Deion Sanders, like, cool. Yeah, I'll just read it. Why speculate? You know?
Go to the source.
His last tweet was on April 14th, which was the Saturday of the playoffs. His game was on Sunday, and he said, "Preach prime time. Once you understand, you'll be better off. Hashtag facts. Hashtag handle your business. Pound. Pray, preach, pray sign, whatever." And it was retweet. I don't know, emojis. I'm not a kid. Deion Sanders was tweeting about how being an athlete's a business, whatever. Mm-hmm. That is a really like inauspicious way to begin your postseason run if you're LeBron and we're used to you being like Zero Dark 30 mode activated. Let's go.
Yeah, ready for war. Let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that also the most interesting thing that's happened with the Cavs in this sort of tedious Pacers series has been the Tom Brown suits.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
it seems like a frankly more frivolous act on LeBron's part than we are used to in postseasons.
Absolutely.
This isn't like, we're not trying to be like concerned trolling LeBron.
No.
He clearly is still like
not concerned about LeBron, concerned about his commitment to the Cavs.
Wow.
Do I sound like Stephen A. Smith right now?
It's like identical.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So LeBron told the story to both Dave McMenamin and the New York Times about the suits, and those two stories were ready to roll the second the pictures of the Cavs and their suits came out. I feel like I should disclose them, quoted in one of them, but I didn't know it was happening.
Right. You didn't know that it was about the suits.
No.
You gave a quote about style.
About style, yeah. I didn't know this was happening,
right.
though. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, interesting. A couple of takeaways from that article. Dwayne Wade was the one who came up with the suit idea.
That everybody should wear the same suits.
Yes, and he's the first one who started talking to Tom Brown, and they started planning it back in January or February, which is important because Isaiah commented on an Instagram picture of some Cavs in their suits, and he said, like, LOL, I remember when I got fitted for these. So it's a long-standing idea.
Oh, so this is kind of like branded content that they had been planning for a while.
Yes,
almost.
it goes back to the old Cavs team, the pre-deadline team, because it was Wade's idea, and Wade very actively works with his stylist, and he and Gab Yu go to a lot of fashion shows, and I would say LeBron's like into the finer things, but he's not like number one fashion icon in the NBA.
No, pretty nondescript.
Yeah.
In comparison to like, Russell Westbrook showed up looking like Andrew McCarthy in Pretty in Pink the other day.
I thought you were going to say St. Elmo's Fire. And
no.
I was like, great, what a great film.
But he had like the tie, kind of like the baggy suit. Yeah,
he did look very John Hughes movie.
Yeah.
So this is an old idea that LeBron decided to stick with. I guess they had to rush the fittings for Rodney Hood and co. But it's just kind of like a weird look. It's not the LeBron that we're used to in the playoffs.
Yeah, this team is a couple of missed shots away from being swept by the Pacers. Yes. Now, they are also a couple of missed shots away from being up 3-1 on the Pacers, but
ugly series is what you're saying.
Ugly series, and I think that this is probably, the more I watch it, the last stand for Ty Lue. Like, I don't think he's going to be the Cavs coach next year anyway.
Seems like there's going to be a lot of coaching vacancies.
Well, part of it is obviously Ty has been dealing with some medical issues over the course of the season. But part of it is also like I just think that he's like run out of ideas of how to play this team, even though he has all these different tools. There was something really dispiriting kind of about watching like TT and Calderon and Korver and and LeBron and JR, it's just like, well, what the hell is the point of all this upheaval if you're just going to keep running out the same guys that you've been running out for 3 years?
Yeah, it's
but
a good
slower.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a good question. Also, the other thing that's kind of weird about it is like in crunch time, there's been obviously a lot of LeBron, and LeBron has carried the team.
Playing like all the second half, yeah.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say we're getting like killer instinct LeBron that often.
No, and Windhorst went on Zach's pod, and they had a really interesting conversation about not body language in terms of LeBron liking or not liking his teammates, but body language in terms of how much energy LeBron has in the second halves, and like watching him give the ball up to Jordan Clarkson, and Jordan Clarkson kind of like looking to LeBron being like, are you going to get back involved here?
Right.
And LeBron just kind of like standing there. And so Clarkson has to like
ISO
create
for
something.
Clarkson.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, LeBron has been pretty emphatic about like, it doesn't matter if I play 35 minutes or 42 minutes. What matters is like actually getting ready to play in the first place.
Right.
So I don't know. I wanted to ask you though, like one person who's been in and out of this team in the postseason, and I think people thought was going to really bring a level of like steadiness to the backcourt is George Hill, and he's out with a back injury. But I don't know. I feel like he's like Rondo, but not funny right now.
That I think is an incredible compliment to George Hill.
I guess so.
Rondo is one of the better point guards the last 20 years. George Hill is like part of many winning teams. Like he's part of like many like sensations.
Spurs, Pacers,
the Jazz last year, he
Yep.
was like a big part of that run and lifting them over the Clippers. But he is not like your glue guy. Like I think he is like on the court, he is really useful and like rises to the occasion. But he's definitely not someone who you know, you're like, let's go grab a beer. Like he doesn't like give like the rousing pregame speech. Like we'll talk more about the Sixers, but it was cool to hear that like JJ told the team about his like 09 experience and how like shortly after going to the finals, like it all unraveled or whatever. And so I don't think George Hill is like going into the locker room being like, I know what it's like to be on the other side of LeBron James, like when you're on the Pacers or whatever. And
well, this is LeBron conundrum. It's like you can mix and match and add all these pieces, but in reality, it's difficult for him to coexist with people who have ambitions to be maybe not on his level as a player, but to have maybe a say or control over the team that he's on. And this is this happened with after a couple years in Miami with Wade, Riley, and Bosh. It obviously happened after a couple years with Kyrie, and nobody of the new guys that they brought in with this overhaul has been able to really challenge him, not only in leadership, but also just like, I'm the next best player on this team. Run the offense through me when LeBron is off the floor.
Yeah, they don't have like basically what Dwayne Wade was.
So do you think they're going to go to the finals?
I think they will.
Do you think they'll beat the winner of the Raptors Wizards series?
I do. I think they'll play the Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
And I still think they'll win. But I don't know. The Sixers are exciting. Should we talk about the
Why
Sixers?
don't we? Yeah.
Like, do you want to just like give some kind of spiel? Like, how would you like to go about this?
I don't have a spiel. I wrote something for the site.
It's really good.
Thank you.
Blogfather.
And it was like also, it's different than the way I felt about writing about other Philadelphia teams, because usually with Philly teams, like there's a degree of tension where you're just like, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to work. Like what disaster is going to befall this team? Like what single is going to get hit through the infield, or like football, like Carson Wentz's knee's going to explode, or we're just going to lose to Tom Brady. And you're just kind of always relieved and surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Simmons is just like alleviates that.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's lost once in like 3 months.
It's amazing.
He's really I don't know what their record is in the last 3 months, but they've won their last 16 games. They lost once to the Heat, and they basically like did that thing last night that was kind of stunning. They just like played around with the Heat for 3 quarters, and then they were like, nah, now we're gonna go on a 12-0 run.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was the kind of thing that I don't want to say championship teams do, but very, very, very good teams are able to do.
Yeah,
where you're just like, we're going to conserve our energy, then we're going to destroy you, and then we're going to shut the door.
I would say notably what the Warriors did not do against the Spurs last night.
Yes, yeah.
Very much not the same thing.
Yes.
It was kind of interesting watching those closeout games back to back, because you expect the Warriors to play more like the Sixers did.
Yeah, and I
just
thought
didn't have that energy.
I thought that would be the Sixers. I thought would be more like what the Jazz looked like the other night, where it was like obviously so hype in Utah. There had been trash talk beforehand, and the Jazz came out and were super physical, just like the Thunder were, and they completely took the Thunder out of it. But there was just like a cauldron-like atmosphere in Utah. And with the Meek stuff before the Sixers game, I thought that it was going to be this cauldron-like atmosphere in Philly, and it was loud. at least over TV. But I felt like they just played under control the whole time.
Yeah, they really
I feel like
did.
they were just like, it's any other game. We're just going to knock this out.
Pretty amazing that no one punched James Johnson. Like, honestly shocking.
Well,
he tried.
Do you think that, like James Johnson's not going to have an MMA fight with another human being on the court?
No, but they were really like whacking Ben Simmons a lot.
Yes,
a
they were
lot of
trying
hard
to- yeah.
fouls. Like they were trying to really, like I think like punish him. Like really, like obviously it's almost like a compliment. Like trying to like neutralize his impact on the game. He wouldn't give in, and also like none of his teammates gave in. It was pretty cool to watch. I'm very impressed by the ego management of this team.
Well, the thing is that they're not actually this young team.
Right.
I mean, they have young players and they have some cool prospects, and like Markel's there and TLC's there and Dario's
like,
still growing.
It's
But
NBA's
this team
fourth season in the league.
Yeah, and also like Ben looks like he's been playing pro sports for 10 years.
He had a season to like condition and like bulk up.
And a lot of there's guys. Covington's a veteran at this point. Redick is obviously a veteran. Ilyasova and Bellinelli have played for like multiple teams.
Bellinelli's a champion.
Yeah, and you've got. I just think that there's just a degree, and Amir Johnson. So you have like actually like a block of veteran leadership with a few young guys rather than a bunch of young guys with like one or two veterans.
Right.
And
also,
that's a key thing that I don't know that people are seeing enough.
I also think the continuity of Brett Brown's kind of underrated, even if like he didn't get a chance to really coach. The sort of having the same authority figure or someone who sets a culture and you stick to it, I think is also meaningful. It seems like Embiid really loves him, which is so sweet. The video where Brett Brown goes over and hugs him and puts like his head on his chest because of being so much taller.
They're a very
so
lovable
funny.
team. They're a very lovable team. You want to talk about the Meek stuff?
Sure.
It was just, I mean, look, like I think it's great that he got out. I'm so excited for him. It's like a pretty, if you follow it, and I recommend people try and read some of the stuff, like the Rolling Stone expose about the whole case. There's also a bunch of stuff on Philly.com through the Inquirer and the Daily News that's been chronicling it for this whole time. And I think what people were responding to somewhat last night was like, let's make sure that like the larger point about like criminal justice reform
is not lost.
And our policies about mass incarceration are not lost in the Meek's free, the world is put right again. Let's get him like as many photo opportunities as possible. Like I don't begrudge Meek doing anything he wants after he gets out of jail. He can do whatever he wants. I think people were a little thrown off by like Bob Kraft, from the Patriots owner, and Michael Rubin, the minority owner of the Sixers, being so publicly visible in this case and being like, well, what else are you doing for like what is like honestly like a complete societal ill? Yeah,
like it's a little hard to equal out what we know about Bob Kraft's other like political interests with him showing up for Meek Mill. I'm so confused by it. Do you know why Bob Kraft is involved in this?
I don't know. So he said in a Washington Post article that he had heard some of the players talk, like the NFL players talking about it. And Meek's like a super popular.
Like at the Super Bowl, did he hear the Eagles
players
talking about it?
But I think also the Rubin connection is there because Rubin was part of the group that was trying to buy the Panthers with Steph Curry. And so I wonder if they know each other through that. Michael Rubin is basically an e-commerce billionaire, I guess.
Yeah, he started Fanatics.
And there's like an Ooh La La or something like or Rue La La. It's like a fashion overstock.
Yeah.
And so he was heavily, he actually has been involved in this for a while, but and Meek seemed to have like genuine personal affection for him. So it looks like those guys are like friends.
I know, it did. And it seemed, and there were pictures last week of Bob Kraft going to visit with Michael Rubin.
Yeah.
Like it's
not. So that's what I think the connection is. Maybe is like via like NBA, rich guy NFL, shit, but also NFL ownership stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's also I feel like Meek Mill has like popped up in pop culture, like not only for his music, but then for feuding with Drake, and then with dating Nicki Minaj, and then with all of these, particularly athletes championing his cause to be released after he was in prison for a parole violation. And so it's kind of like, I don't know. He just is like similar to the Sixers. I don't want to trivialize anything.
It's tough to because like you're talking about, it's like we're conflating these two separate things.
Like obviously prison reform.
But they got put together by the staging of his release being very much tied to this team and this event, and he's been sort of the soundtrack to Philadelphia sports for the last 12 months.
It's pretty amazing. What a run Philly's having, the sports teams.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, please.
Do you think Ben Simmons is the next LeBron?
I really do.
Do you think that he can develop like a personality? Like, I think basketball wise, like
I think that I think he has to, like you said, develop it. I don't think he like has the natural charisma of LeBron. But first of all, he is like in the LeBron camp. So he like his introduction to the NBA and NBA culture is through the prism of being part of clutch sports. So like there's that's helpful. Second of all, he's so like unafraid of the moment that I think that he could learn those things. And I also think that like one thing that really became apparent to me when we did LeBron versus Jordan week at the Ringer is that Jordan was just such a different kind of celebrity, and he was willing to take on various roles. Like he did not have the same kind of natural charisma, didn't really like play the family man in the way LeBron does.
Sure.
But he's like arguably a bigger star.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ben Simmons would actually be a mold of like LeBron James style basketball and Michael Jordan style celebrity.
I mean, if you're a 10-year-old kid and you're watching him, you're probably like, that's my favorite player.
Of course, because you don't even have to be able to shoot.
Yeah.
Like, so he is like obviously incredibly gifted. Like he sees the court in a special way, but he's also just like a really great athlete. Like in many ways, his type of game is more attainable than some other ones. Like it's almost like he's a good foil to Steph too, because Steph is like a testament to how much you can like learn to shoot and like perfect something against the odds. Like Ben Simmons is like, if you're a really good athlete, like there's the future for you in basketball.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your Miami Heat?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. I was rooting for the Heat in this series, though I support you and the Philadelphia 76ers. I just love Coach Spo.
Yeah.
And
you've been a Heat fan for life.
For life. As a young child in New York, I rooted for PJ Brown. I think looking at all of these rosters, I think the most improbable to be a playoff team is actually the Heat. Like that is just not a playoff basketball team on paper.
There's something missing there. Like there's supposed to be a star there, and it's just like a bunch of guys who are supposed to average 11 points a game, but they play 9 of them.
Yeah.
So they get there, you know?
Do you think that this team with LeBron, this current Miami Heat, would go to the conference finals?
Yes.
I do too, and I just think LeBron should go back there.
I also think like this team with LeBron would be I 100% think that.
I just think that would be a really fun team. Like I would actually love to see LeBron surrounded by
they would have to
a
keep
bunch of
UD
strivers.
and they would have to keep Wade.
Yeah, but like they can get like the Juwan Howard deal.
How do you think that
slide
LeBron
straight
would,
into the front office?
How do you think LeBron would feel about only making like $5 more million than Tyler Johnson next year?
He would probably be like, Tyler Johnson, let's talk about your appearance. What can we do here to get you in a Tom Brown suit?
Yeah.
But I actually would like love to see LeBron with like a ragtag crew. Like it feels like this like a good sports movie conclusion.
How do you also feel about Tyler Johnson electing to save dental surgery till after the playoffs? Do you think that was like I want to look like really rugged and hardcore? I mean, he obviously, if you have dental surgery, Isaiah Thomas had it during last year's playoffs, it's really difficult to also play. I'm sure it's a very sensitive time. You can't get hit in the mouth when that happens. But I thought that was a really advanced look for him.
It was really something. Combine it with his hand brace because he hurt his hand.
Right. I really enjoyed all the people being like Kelly Olynyk, Goran Dragic, and Tyler Johnson look like they're on Rumspringa.
I didn't see that, but I like it. My favorite Heat is with Justice Winslow.
Yeah.
I actually love Josh Richardson, too. I hope they both stay on that team.
Not Whiteside, though.
No, not Whiteside. Richardson and Justice are like why I love the Heat, though. Like they really develop players.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Great system. Believe in Pat. There's so much more to talk about, Chris. One thing we forgot to discuss with the Miami Heat, beefs. What was your favorite beef from the Heat? What was your favorite like antagonistic relationship from the Heat Sixers series?
I think it was the pregnant pause every time James Johnson squared up with someone about whether or not he would like leg lock some guy around the throat. But I also really, really enjoyed like how hard Justice Winslow played, even though he is now like not allowed in Philadelphia ever again. But the stepping on Embiid's mask was
doesn't mind.
All-time wrestling villain shit.
It was dope.
Yeah.
I think that I would like Duke players more if they were like that in college. Just be villains. Lean into it.
Yeah.
Go for it. A lot of beef so far this playoffs. I actually can't believe how much like jawing there's been. No straight up fighting, but a lot of jawing.
Yeah, and also guys who clearly, like from the second they walk out on the floor, are like that. You and me we have a problem, and it hasn't gone away. So like Joe Ingles and Paul George have literally been arguing for 4 games now.
It's incredible.
Do you know anything about the roots of that? Like, is that like an international basketball situation?
I don't.
Like, what's the deal there?
I don't know about it, and I don't think Paul George or Playoff P is really one for feuds.
He does not seem to be really like eclipsing this. He's not using it as like fuel.
Let me just say, I am not surprised. It's easy to get inside of his head. And
what would you find there when you get there?
It's a great question. Can't answer that either. And it's kind of surprising this hasn't happened sooner.
Okay.
Like, it actually speaks to how much people like Paul George around the league, that they don't try to like get in his head.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Kyrie is the type of player who tries to do that sort of thing, where he will like try to go at you. And I think, Chris Bosh talked about it on the Bill Simmons podcast, how like when you think you can get a mental edge, you take it.
Oh yeah.
People don't seem to try to seize that with Paul George.
I think they definitely done Russell Westbrook in this series.
What'd you say?
I think they definitely have with Russell Westbrook in this series.
Yeah. So
where it's like they basically like were like, you can get Russ on tilt.
Ringer NBA show favorite Rick Rubio is just having the series of his lifetime.
Yeah. I don't get it.
I feel like he's just really grown up. The man bun is powering him.
Yeah.
I do like his man bun.
But he literally, like, Russ, like, came out, had the quote about, like, Ricky Rubio is not going to do that to me again, made a concerted effort about how he was going to guard him. And Rubio used that to his advantage and got him in 2 quick fouls. Russ was completely out of it the entire night. It seemed like obsessed with, like foul calls, and then spent the last, like, 2 quarters basically almost getting tossed the entire time. Yeah. It's a miracle he didn't get retroactively given a suspension for, like, what happened at the end of the game.
He really should have.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be – I actually think tonight is like a definitive moment in the Thunder franchise.
Really?
Tonight.
Wow.
Wednesday night.
Well, you can hear your follow-up thoughts on that on group chat.
Yeah, but, like, if they lose tonight – I don't
know what they do.
If they lose in 5 games again with this team, Paul's gone. Melo will probably opt in. Russ is on the hook for $130 million or whatever it is over the next few years. This team's screwed. Like, this team, and like, what, do you fire Billy and try and bring in another person to try and communicate, like, an offensive system to Russ? I don't know what's going to happen, but this is, like, a really, really, really big watershed moment for this team tonight. They win. They can maybe come back 3-1. We've seen it happen before. If they lose tonight, this is really bad.
Related question. Do you want playoff P on your Sixers? Do you want an existing star on the Sixers?
I think playoff P works better within the Sixers than LeBron.
Definitely. You got Ben Simmons. You don't need LeBron.
I actually think that LeBron and Ben Simmons would have like a huge impact on each other.
Ben Simmons naturally plays the role that LeBron has been forced into as he's gotten older, and he is not with Dwayne Wade, basically. And it's awesome to watch Ben Simmons in that position. And why would you want to like stifle that at all? And having LeBron on the team absolutely would, not to mention like some spacing issues. But yeah, it's just it's really fascinating. I think Paul George would probably still go to the Lakers, but who knows? Who knows where he could go? We didn't really talk about Whiteside versus Embiid.
Yeah, that one just didn't really even rise to the like
play
beef
out.
level. I mean,
Whiteside's season peaked in the preseason when Joel Embiid Instagrammed about him. That was
when was CSI Whiteside?
Like in August.
Yeah, so that's when I think his season peaked.
Yeah, because it was like hurricane season.
Hurricane season.
What should we do with Whiteside?
But the thing is that like if you had to guess, do you think Hassan Whiteside would rather be a weatherman or a basketball player?
That's a great question. Probably a weatherman.
Honestly,
I think he wants attention.
I would love just watching like a vlog, a Whiteside vlog.
Do you think we could get him to contribute over the summer to theringer.com?
I think it's in play. I don't know if we could hit his quote though.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of fights, do you think LeBron got mad at Tristan Thompson for being so sloppy with his various women and having that come out on the eve of the playoffs? Because I have an alternate theory.
Okay, I'd rather hear your theory.
I think it's almost like good for the Cavs that the Kardashians are done with Tristan Thompson for the purpose of the playoffs.
Are they done with Tristan Thompson?
I think so.
Okay.
Apparently, as soon as Khloe can fly, she'll be headed back to LA.
Okay.
With True.
Without Tristan.
He'll be with the Cavs.
What if they're done tomorrow? Like they could be done this week.
I don't know if he'll be welcomed back to California, but I think like if they beat the Pacers and they go on, I actually think it's like good for the team to not have that extra circus around. Plus, it's not like any of his teammates would be surprised. It's not like they're like, what? You did this to Khloe? Like, no.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that those like most people around that team, it's not like Tristan was like, I'm gonna put a bunch of like pumpkins in my my bed so that it looks like I'm sleeping, and then I'm gonna sneak out to these nightclubs where no one's gonna take my picture.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, come on.
I know it's so ridiculous. I feel like there was quite a bit of beefing in the Blazers Pelican series, which now feels like it was ages ago.
Yeah, I have like a couple of things I thought. I did not find that the Blazers post the exit interviews were particularly. Look, like when they were like, "Do you think you two can play together?" to CJ and Dame, I thought that they said the right things.
Sure.
But watching the video, granted they just lost and everything, I did not find them like super convincing. Even on the level of like what George has been saying this year about Russ, and how Russ is making his decision really easy and all that stuff. Like CJ and Dame were not like, we're partners. Like that wouldn't, like everybody would want to play with us. Like, we're the best backcourt. We came up against a hot New Orleans team. Let us try again. They were like, you know, basically like, I don't think we need to be broken up. I guess what do we want from basketball players in their quotes, but still. And then like the following days, it's like CJ got into beef with Jason Quick on Twitter. And Dame was like, I'm over it.
CJ had this one great tweet. Someone tweeted at him, "You're tweeting this from Drew Holiday's pocket? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Good tweet at Andre T _98. CJ responded, and if I was his brand manager, I would be like, why are you responding, bro? Nonetheless, he said, I'm tweeting from my Benz, left my Aston at home today. Shrug emoji. So he's feeling just fine about life. They didn't seem like, wow, this is our year.
No.
We're devastated.
No. Do you think Stotts is gone?
Definitely.
That's too bad.
I mean,
like Terry Stotts.
I like him too, but his greatest achievement is getting to the second round, right?
Mm-hmm.
A few times.
Let's talk about some lighter fare.
Okay. Great. Where should we start? Real estate?
Real estate boys.
Real estate boys. Kevin Durant's coming to Malibu, people.
If you're a real estate blog boy, are you like a Zillow boy? Redfin boys?
Redfin. He's definitely into Redfin.
Boys?
For more picks. Yeah. Schedule a tour right away.
One fine stay boys.
I won't tell you the address because that seems inappropriate, but I found it and Googled it. And I won't be going. Don't worry. I also think it's like a gated street. But I did get led to a 2-minute and 25-second video that is a visual tour of Kevin Durant's new 12.
You should mention that's on Vimeo, which is like the higher end.
It's on Vimeo.
Yeah.
It's higher end, just like his Malibu home, which is 3 stories on the beach. It's pretty far up in Malibu. I believe the street is gated, and if it's not, it's like hard to get to. It's not just like
far up, like in the hills, or far up north.
Far up north.
Okay.
No, it's beachfront. But I'm glad you brought that up because I've got notes, which is I think he went for this home because it looks like it's on like a very small cove where there's only like 5 or 6 houses, so a lot of privacy. Cool, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Malibu, the tides rise and fall, as with all oceans, but the beach really, only certain areas get a good stretch of beach where you can like hang out when it's low tide.
Sure.
And he did not pick one of those stretches.
So let me.
This is an indoor home for him, like, which is probably for the best because 7-footers shouldn't be walking on sand.
Hashtag views though.
Hashtag hella views. He has got a great bathroom that like opens out onto the ocean with like a great soaker tub.
You've mentioned bathrooms that open like a bathroom view. I like
dream.
A bathroom that's like pretty private.
I would like to see the ocean from the shower. That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay.
It's a beautiful home. It's clearly a vacation home. It's like a very decked out.
I would hope so, unless he's planning on being a Laker.
I hope I can Airbnb it because I love Malibu. But like the kitchen doesn't look like it'll really be used. As Jeff Chow, our COO, pointed out, there's no fan above the range, so that's a real problem if you're going to really cook there a lot.
Okay. So we're essentially looking at a very expensive 3-story house with very limited beach access where he will
just hang.
Hang, yeah.
It's just like
maybe you could just record pods with Bill there.
It's maybe I bet it's just an extremely high end cabana.
What if you bought it to do that?
To be closer to Bill,
the pod studio.
That'd be cool. I love KD a lot. I love when he talks to Bill. I just don't know that I would have selected this location. But I wish him.
I think you have different priorities. I think that like beach access.
He's probably not like, oh, I gotta get in the water.
Yeah.
I don't think he goes in the ocean, but maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, a really nice hot tub on one of the decks. There's 3 decks, which is really cool.
Jeez.
I don't know, like a Malibu house, because it's just not convenient unless you're like retired and 65. Living on the beach in Malibu is like really, it is just a very high end cabana. The world's most expensive cabana is how I view it, and I commend the people who are able to afford it.
Speaking of real estate,
this one's a little peculiar.
I feel like Chris Paul put his Houston house on the market.
Yes, he did. It's selling for like $7 million. It's like 6,000 square feet. It's big.
Did he re-up in Houston, or is this like he's got his like one in?
So he got traded, and he opted into the 5th year from the Clippers, and then that got carried over. So he's up for a new deal. Everyone seems really confident he's staying, but like, he listed his house that he just purchased 9 months ago. Maybe he just doesn't like the house.
He seems like he has a lot of real estate investments, though.
Well, I was about to say, we know that he sold his like second home in the Valley.
Right.
His other home in, I think, Bel Air also sold. Like, it just seems like he's moving around real estate a lot. I do think he lives in this house, though. I don't think he has multiples in Houston.
Is for NBA players, is real estate just some place to hide your money?
I don't think
Not
so.
hide your money like
It's not like a
literally,
Russian oligarch.
Yeah, but I guess what I was asking, like, what's the advantage of having multiple LA homes unless it's their investment?
Well, for someone
opportunities?
like Chris Paul, who really takes care of his family, like one is for his parents, one is for his cousins, whatever.
Yeah.
But this is just weird. This is probably him just wanting to move, maybe to elsewhere in Houston or maybe outside of the city.
Yeah.
The Houston Chronicle article was like, but surely Chris Paul is happy here, like, so they don't think he's moving. Whatever. Also on the newswire, Derek Fisher and Gloria Govan, the former
Who
Paramore,
says love is dead?
they got engaged, and apparently Matt Barnes and Derek Fisher have squashed their beef.
That's good.
Derek Fisher will be the stepfather to Matt Barnes' twins, Isaiah and Carter Barnes. I recommend following them on Instagram. Very cute. Yeah, they got engaged against all odds. The Govan sisters just keep on giving.
It's this testament to the longevity of this podcast that we've been through so much with Gloria and Derek and Matt.
I know. That was that felt like a long time ago.
I can't remember. Did Matt like live tweet driving to Sacramento?
He tweeted like being mad about it.
Where was he driving?
I think his team was in town.
Okay.
And he went to Derek Fisher's house where they were having like a family party and like they had a fight.
Okay.
So it must be really hard. Divorce, sharing the kids, new guy around, particularly one who doesn't have the best reputation like Derek Fisher. I don't mean like as a bad person, but like as a basketball player, I feel like people thought he was like John Stockton-esque, a little dirty sometimes.
A little dirty, yeah.
It turns out that I like dirty players per my enthusiasm for the Miami Heat in this series, but I get it. It's not always so great. Chris, do you want any predictions?
For tonight's games or just in general for these series?
Just in general for the rest of the playoffs.
I'm going to go Cavs. Pacers should have won that game. So I'm going to go Cavs for the Cavs Pacers. I think Raps still.
I do too. I think Raps in 7.
I'm going C's.
C's over Bucks.
Just because there's going to be another. I just can't see the Bucks. I can't see Joe Prunty beating Brad Stevens in a Game 7 in Boston.
Hard to imagine.
Yeah. Rock's are going to wrap this up. Like, whatever. It's like, everything's going kind of like, I'm really excited about Warriors Pelicans.
Me too. I think that's going to be a tough one for the Warriors.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch how they guard Anthony Davis. There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, Draymond Green. Oh, let's just end by talking about Draymond Green's swagger right now.
Okay.
Had a good game last night. Wouldn't say he's having a great playoffs or a great season by his own standards. And C-Web sunned him by saying he wouldn't start on many teams. What do you think about that beef?
I don't really get it unless he's sort of saying that Draymond's a system player, but I think if you got Draymond, you would change your system.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, not a lot of teams play with their like nominal center at the high, like playing at the top of the key, but Draymond can guard 3 guys. And I thought that was a weird quote from C-Web, but I appreciate the takes because sometimes I feel like the ex-players who do a lot of the color commentary or studio stuff
too deferential.
Basically, like, say a lot of nothing. And they're just like, oh, you got to bring it every night. And it's just like, it doesn't really actually add up to much. So it's a shame because I know Draymond called out C-Web and got like really bothered by it. And I guess you can kind of see why. These guys probably run in a lot of similar social circles and see each other a lot. And they just don't really want to start anything.
Totally.
It's hard. It's a hard life being a blog boy. It's very lonely.
It really is. What a win for the Ringer. Steph Curry wearing that blog boy shirt on the sidelines. We were all quite excited. You can get one too at theringer.com/shop.
Great.
You can listen to so many more Ringer NBA podcasts.
Yeah, we'll be live tonight with group chat. So you can watch us on Twitter. And the podcast will be up, I think, probably late. West Coast people chilling, watching Corden. You could probably listen to us. East Coast, it'll be there for when you get on your rat-infested subway. But yeah, NBA show constantly. Great stuff happening on the Ringer. Also, NFL draft coverage has been great, so check it out.
Totally. And I can't wait for more real estate moves as free agency nears. Have a great week and go Sixers.
Yeah. Enjoy your expensive cabana.
Anything is possible.